side. All right. Small talk's over. Here we go. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. public meeting of the Wrentham Select Board shall be conducted remotely. The public is invited to join via Zoom. The dial-in credentials are on the town's website. As a preliminary matter, the Select Board Chair, Chris Gallo, please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Selectwoman Michelle Rouse.
Here.
Selectman Jim Anderson.
Here.
Selectman Bill Harrington.
Here.
Selectman Roy Lamoth.
Here.
And the Chris Gallo, that's me, I'm here. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Town Manager Mike King.
Present.
And Executive Assistant Amanda Vazzapolo.
Present.
Okay. Welcome everybody. We have as I mentioned, we have a 6:40 public hearing. So we're going to try to take care of a little bit of business before we get to that. And we're going to start with tab 1 and ask our clerk, Bill Harrington, Selectman Harrington, to please read the announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, with your permission, if we could have a moment of silence for the folks down in Texas, thoughts and prayers are with them before we start the meeting.
Please go, lead us.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So the agenda for tonight, the rescue dive training on Lake Pearl. There'll be a joint public safety and county rescue and recovery training on Thursday, July 10th, 2025 on Lake Pearl from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Multiple agencies will be parked at the Wrentham boat launch off Elysium Street. All training will take place in the water. The Wrentham Historical Commission will be holding a dedication and opening ceremony of the Rochambeau Memorial and French Army Encampment Site on August 19th, 2025. Details for the event will be posted on the town website. We have a save the date for Sweat Park ribbon cutting ceremony scheduled for, it says Thursday, July 28th. July 28th is actually a Monday, so I'm confused on the date, but it's
24th.
We will.
Sorry, Bill, 24th.
So it's the 24th, which is the Thursday.
Yes, sir.
All right. And let's see, town of Plainville will be closing Berry Street July 9th from 8 a.m. to 11 for tree removal. Cars will be detoured down Wampum onto Everett. Signs will be placed accordingly. MassDOT reopened the northbound travel lane on Park Street Bridge in Norfolk on July 1st at 10 o'clock with restrictions on truck traffic and other heavy vehicles. As previously stated, the southbound lane of Park Street coming off Main Street will remain closed to traffic with a detour in place. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And thank you for the correction there. So just to confirm, so everyone's on the same page, ribbon cutting ceremony for Sweat Park is Thursday, July 24th, 5 to 7. So mark your calendar. It's going to be a great event. We're really excited about it. Place is coming out incredible. So it's really job well done all around, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. Let's go to tab 2 very quickly. This time, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the June 17, 2025 open session meeting minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion made by Selectman Harrington, second by Selectman Anderson. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse?
I'm abstaining. I was absent.
Yes, you were. Selectman Anderson?
Anderson's a yes.
Selectman Harrington?
Harrington, yes.
Selectman Lamoth?
Lamoth, yes.
Chris Gallo, yes. Motion carries 4-0, 1 abstention, right, Mike? Is that how we do that? 4-0-1, correct? Good. I think that's good. Thank you. Okay. We do have that, like I said, we have a 6:40 public hearing. We have a few minutes to get there. We also have with us members of HKA Architects to discuss the Public Works building project. We're going to get to you guys soon. So please just sit tight for a couple of minutes. We'll get to you as fast as we can. And a couple of quick appointments. We do have 5 minutes. I think we can get tab 4 done in 5 minutes. So let's go to tab 4. If everyone will go to tab 4. And tab 4 is a change of manager application, R&M Liquors, 500 Thurston Street. In our packets, we have the change of manager application for R&M Liquors. We also have a note here that the applicant and the attorney were both unable to attend tonight's meeting, unfortunately. But in the past, if the packet was in order and the application was in order as it is, the board has allowed this not to be an issue and kind of move forward with it in the past. Mike, do you have anything to add before I open it up for any comments from any board members before we take the vote?
I'll just add that all the paperwork is in order and the change of manager has passed a successful Corey. So everything in play has to be in place.
All right, fantastic. With that being said, is there any board members want to make a comment before I ask for a motion?
Mr.
So
Chair?
is a Corey the same as a background check, Michael?
Hold on. So Roy, through me, right? We got to
Yes.
remember through me. Mike, can you answer that question?
So when you say background check, are you talking about something more significant than your standard Corey? Which is, just going through and running their information and social through the Corey check system?
Which is standard protocol for this
It is.
application, by the way, Roy, just so you're aware.
And nothing came up on his background that would be of consideration, of concern.
Correct. And additionally, all the paperwork is in order and the appropriate sign-offs are in place. So that this is just changing the manager on file on the paperwork. So the board has the ability to interview the individual. In the past, in circumstances like this, if for whatever reason a situation comes up where they're unable to attend, they are on the agenda, they originally were planning to be here, but they have informed us that they cannot. The board still has the ability to approve the change of manager based on what's in your packet before you. However, it is within the board's discretion to push it out to a future date.
Yep. Thank you.
Anything, Jim, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, is this the location that's on Route 1 next to the gas station?
Mike, it is, isn't it?
That is my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing too is perhaps Mike could explain to Roy what a Corey check is.
So there is a standard form that needs to be completed and filled out with someone's personal identifier information that's run through law enforcement systems to find out if they've been tagged for any situations that might be of concern to someone in terms of someone who's going to be in a position such as this. It's actually standard practice for even town of Wrentham employment when we have a new applicant or employee to run a Corey check before moving forward. In this case, they came back clear. This is a little bit different than what you might think of with a law enforcement background check, where there's somebody specifically is contacted to make interviews and investigate someone to a further detail. This is just running for databases.
Yep. Thank you.
Selectman Anderson, anything else to add, sir?
Yeah, no, that's it. I just want to make sure that Roy understood process.
Great. Selectman Lamoth, any other questions, comments, concerns?
Good to go. Let's get this over.
I'm trying.
I know you're time sensitive, so let's go.
No, I have all the time in the world. I
Okay.
can move as fast or as slow as the board wants. So totally up to you. I want to make sure that on every vote, everyone's comfortable and prepared and feels good making the vote. That's the primary concern. And we can do this till midnight if you want, Roy.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Good. I was gonna say. Michelle, do you have anything to add? Bill, do you have
No,
anything?
no questions.
Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Okay, at this time, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the change of manager application for 500 Thurston Street, DBA RM Liquors.
So moved.
Motion made by Selectman Harrington. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Selectman Lamoth. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
Rose, yes.
Selectman Anderson,
Anderson, yes.
Selectman Harrington,
Harrington, yes.
Selectman Lamoth,
Lamoth, yes.
Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, it looks like it's time for us to have our 6:40 public hearing. The time is now 6:40. We have a public hearing for an all alcohol general on premises license for the premises located at 303 Shear Street. You may know that as the old Parker's Pub. Documentation in our packet is from AJ's Pub, all alcohol on premises license application. With us, we should have Anthony Gianetti, which I'm believing that is AJ, and or Chris Timpson. Who do we have with us for the application team?
We have Chris Timpson here, and AJ is also here.
Yes. How you doing, guys?
Hi, how are you? Mr. Timpson, are you the attorney for the applicant? What's your,
Yes, sir. Attorney
Okay.
for the applicant.
great. Well, welcome to the meeting, Attorney Timpson. Welcome, AJ.
Thank you.
Attorney Timpson, why don't you just give the board a quick summary as to what we're trying to accomplish this evening?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yeah,
um,
I didn't vote. I didn't open the meeting, Mike.
Yes.
Thank you so at this time, that's why we have you, Mike. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for the all alcohol general on premises license application for AJ's Pub located at 303 Shear Street, and to waive the reading of the public hearing notice.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion made by Selectwoman Rouse, second by Selectman Anderson. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
Yes.
Selectman Anderson,
Yes.
Selectman Harrington,
Yes.
Selectman Lamoth,
Yes,
Chris Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing is now open. I apologize for that snafu. Attorney Timpson, I turn it back over to you. Please give the board a rough summary as to what we're trying to accomplish.
Sure, yes. As you said, Anthony is trying to reopen the old Parker's Pub, breathe some new life into it. His concept is to have a community-based, family-friendly, classic American dining experience. He has a keen interest in history, and he plans on kind of celebrating the history of significant events in the U.S. as part of the theme of this restaurant. There's some outdoor seating that's shown in the diagrams in your packet. Let me tell you a little bit about Anthony. He's been in the business since 2014. He's got a good amount of experience running bars and restaurants. He's tip certified. He's taken a Serve Safe course, and he intends to be there full time. In fact, he's actually going to do some of the fit up work himself. He's handy. He's already paid for the actual assets that he's purchasing from that are within the restaurant, and he has the money available to complete the project. He also has a lease in place, so you should find everything in order there. And he's excited to get going if you folks are willing to grant him a liquor license.
Great. Yeah, excited to have you guys on here. I know the board and the community is excited to breathe some fresh life into the old Parker's Pub. A lot of people were sad when it closed. Definitely, there was a void in the community. So to have someone trying to revitalize that facility, I think it's fantastic. Mike, a couple questions for you, Mr. King. Is this the location specific liquor license, or is this one of those mobile ones?
So the town does have some of what are called the special legislation license that are non-pocket licenses. And that was what I believed in terms of discussing with Amanda, that we have some availability there, and that's what we'd be pushing forward in this case. So a non-pocket license.
So just so everyone on the call and on the board is familiar, non-pocket license means what?
So it is a license that would not be transferable by the applicant, right? So if you have a pocket license, you could in effect possibly sell it to another interested party. Although I will note that we've seen recently with some businesses that have closed, since Wrentham actually has a surplus in licenses, there isn't exactly a value to that at this point, because there is availability in the market for Wrentham in terms of these types of licenses.
And is this license just for this location, Mike?
In terms of the special legislation, it's just a general license that the town of Wrentham has that any applicant could come forward for, but it wouldn't be a pocket license.
Got it. Okay, understood. And AJ, before I open it up to the rest of the board members, Attorney Timpson says you have some great experience. Do you currently own or manage any other bars or restaurants locally?
Hey guys, sorry about that. I just had some technical difficulties, so I missed the last like 20 seconds, but back on, good to go. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I used to own, currently no, but I used to own 49% interest in Limey's Pub in Norwood. I ran that for I owned it from 2019 to 22, and then before that, I had worked there for the previous 7 years. I'm coming from Nappertandy's in Walpole. I worked there under John Jacob. He's a great guy. He's got a bunch of restaurants. Learned a bunch from him. Before that, I was at the Brendan Bean. So, but currently, no, just working at the new spot. Excited to be there.
Great. Well, great to have you. And I'm going to open it up to my fellow board members to see what other questions that I might have forgotten to ask, starting with Selectwoman Rouse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anthony, I didn't see, when would you anticipate opening? I saw outdoor seating for next summer, 2027, but what's the date for the AJ's Pub?
I would hope if all goes well, I would hope September 29th. And the only reason being I run a golf tournament every year. And that happens to be the date. So I would like to use that as almost like a soft opening. If possible, if it needs to get pushed back, that's fine. A lot of work ahead, but I think we can get it done by then.
Okay, no further questions for me.
Selectman Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So AJ, I know you're tip certified,
Yes.
but will all your servers be tip certified?
Yeah, that'll definitely be a requirement. For sure. Yeah, all servers, all bartenders, everybody that works there pretty much.
Okay. And my second question is this: I see you're looking for 8 a.m.
No, should be 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. every day. And then maybe I was thinking maybe Monday, Tuesday might be a later start, maybe 3 p.m., but I was asking for 12 to 1 every day.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yes, good catch.
do we have that? What I see is hours of operation 8 a.m. to midnight.
Yeah, you see what I see, Jim. That's a great catch. I actually had that in my notes to ask if, so I missed it. But I'm going to turn that over to Mike and Amanda, because in our packet we see 8 a.m. to 11, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then Friday, 8 a.m. to midnight, and then Saturday, 8 a.m. to midnight, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. So I feel like we need to figure out the hours here.
Yeah, I definitely, sorry, that must have been miscommunicated or something, but yeah, definitely a 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. is what I'm looking for, Sunday to Monday or Monday to Sunday.
And Mike, Mike, what per the license, per the ordinance, what are the allowable hours?
So per the license, it would be 8 a.m. would be as early as they would be allowed to serve. In terms of what you're seeing for the hours of operation piece.
And how do we handle this in the past? Can we stipulate? He just gave us his hours. He doesn't want to open at 8. So can we stipulate the 12 noon opening, or how does that work?
Amanda, can you just confirm in the past, like for the last few, have we done 8 to start? Or have we pared them back based on the exact operating hours? Just one thought is if they did change their operating hours, let's say they open at 11 versus 12, are you then they would then have to come forward and adjust?
Through you, Mr. Chair, what about the closing time? What about the 1 o'clock? What other bar rooms in town? What are their hours? Or restaurant establishments?
Yeah, good. Another good point. I was going to get to that after the opening, but excellent point. Give Amanda a minute.
Hello. Hi. So some restaurants have opted in the past, like, excuse me, like the Red Rooster, for example, their liquor license, they're allowed to sell alcohol from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., like Monday through Saturday. So that way, in the event, like for the Red Rooster specifically, they may hold like things for after a wake or a brunch. So then they have the ability to be open earlier. If they wanted, like Mr. King had stated, if you wanted to keep it at 11 a.m., that's fine. But 8 a.m. just gives you a little more flexibility, where if you wanted to change your hours, it would have to go through the process with the ABCC to change your hours. On the common victular license, we can stipulate what hours you're actually open for business, for patrons. So that 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then as far as other establishments in town, the Gavel's open till 1 a.m. Every night, pretty much, except for Sundays, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify too, I would like to be open at 12 p.m. most days, but I would like to have the possibility to open, as early as possible for certain things that come up, whether it be early soccer matches are sometimes a thing, and just other events, if possible.
When they're in Mike, when they're in Amanda, when the Rooster does like a brunch or something, they don't have to get any approval. They just do it, right?
That's correct. Because of the way their license is written, they can just open earlier if need be.
So I don't want to overcomplicate this, but I also, AJ, respectfully, I don't want you deciding all of a sudden that you want to open for breakfast every day and you're serving booze at 8 a.m. till 11 to 12 p.m. So what Mike, what do you suggest we do? And then I'm open to, any recommendations from the board as well.
So you have the authority to set it later, which would be on their ABCC license, for when they can serve alcohol, and that would be the extent of their flexibility to serve alcohol at an earlier time. And then at that point, if they did want to readjust, they would come back to the board. So it depends on how much flexibility between that 12 in the afternoon opening time do you want to give them to serve. So if you think 8 is too early, do you want to say no earlier than 10? That's the prerogative of the board.
And I also want to be consistent here with the other licenses in town, right? I don't want to give AJ something that we don't give the other establishments, but I also don't want to penalize AJ and not give him what we give the other establishments, I guess. So I'm just looking for some common, I'm looking for some, I want it to be consistent across the board here.
Yeah, per Amanda, there are others that hold an 8 a.m., which you just identified, for example, the Red Rooster.
Right.
So the question becomes, do you want that to be the norm, or would the Red Rooster be an exception? And
Right.
then, you have the ability to set moving forward what your expectations are.
And what about, to Bill's question, his closing times? His closing times he wants is different than what's on the application here. So we can also change those?
Yep, for the alcohol licenses, you could set the closing times. And again, to Amanda's point, the common vic license can be different than the alcohol license too, because there are businesses that could be open earlier for serving food, but not necessarily serving alcohol.
Yeah. And what do we do? What time is the Gavel and the Roosters liquor license open until?
So,
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the Rooster is at 11, and then the Gal's at 1. But
Per their license though, Bill, or per their hours of operation?
I think it's through their hours of operation.
Yeah, I'm talking about the license.
Okay.
So Amanda
Trying to line it all up.
Yeah, so Amanda confirmed that the gavel is one. Amanda, can you just confirm the Red Roosters license as well? In terms of their closing hour for serving of alcohol.
What I think we could do is have the license be the 8 to 1 or whatever, and the common vic be the, you know, the hours of operation that AJ is saying, so that in rare cases, again, I'm open to the will of the board here, and I know it's not perfect, but in rare cases where he wants to do something earlier, he doesn't have to come back to us, you know, and ask for permission. Like, because we don't make the gavel do that, and we don't make the rooster do that. So I don't know that we should be making AJ do that. What's the will of the board? Selectman Harrington, I know you want to say something, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my only concern is the location of the gavel and the rooster, and this particular restaurant. This particular restaurant is pretty much located in a residential neighborhood, if you will. So that the 1 o'clock, but the 1 p.m. concerns me, especially for the neighbors in the area. Whereas the gavels in, you know, downtown, it's really, you know, the closest neighborhood is really not that close to earshot, and the rooster's right out on the highway. The same thing. So my concern is, you know, the location and the 1 o'clock. That's
What was what did we have Parker's? What was Parker's hours and Parker's license? Do we know that information?
Yes, we do.
Sorry.
Parker's Pub was open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.
So, I mean, that argument is null and void, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, because that's what Parker's was there for a long time and operating like that. Any other board members have any input before we take the, go ahead, Selectman Lamar.
Well, I mean, if I were to start over, I don't think any event that happens in a restaurant that typically opens noonish, whether it be, you know, after a wake or whatever, or a funeral, nothing's going to happen before 10. And I also wonder, you know, when do you have last call? Are you serving drinks right up to your closing time? I mean, last call is pretty typical in most restaurants. So personally, I would go 10 to 12. And for all of these going forward, if I were in your position, Mr. Chair, seems only fair.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that we're not allowing, we're letting other people do something different than that. So unless we're going to make a blanket change to all the other establishments, like for example, I know the Gavel on Thanksgiving does an 8 o'clock turkey trot, and then there's drinks and food Thanksgiving morning before 10 o'clock. So, you know, are we now not going to allow AJ to do that? That's my concern.
Yeah. No.
I want to be fair and consistent. I appreciate the feedback. Selectwoman Rouse, do you have anything to add?
I just want to echo, I think consistency is important here. If Parker's was doing that, other establishments have that timeline. I'd like to be consistent to support the business.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes sense.
Selectman Anderson, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so coming from probably a different background, right? Yeah, so like I'm not opposed to them opening up at 8 a.m., but I do think serving alcohol between 8 and 10, you know, I just don't think it's good business for the town. That's all.
Yeah.
What do
Same
we
here.
say? What do we say to the other operators that have that ability right now?
So I would say, like, you know, when they come up for review every year, we could always change it then.
And then if they wanted to do something, you'd say they'd have to come before us and ask if they could serve prior to 10 if there was a special event or something.
Exactly.
Now, would you be okay, Selectman Anderson, with a 10 o'clock?
I would.
Start?
I would.
What do the other board members think about that 10 o'clock start time? Is that a compromise? And AJ, what do you think about that?
You know, I'm open to anything that people are comfortable with, you know, but I would say, you know, between the hours of 8 and 10, I would serve alcohol with the same, you know, responsibility and safety that I would between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. You know, so as long as it's done in, you know, the correct order, I really don't think there should, you know, the time matters. You know, I understand the concern though, definitely. And again, it's it's not something I'm looking to attack. I have thought about brunch before, and even then, brunch is maybe a 9 o'clock start, most likely 10. So whatever makes you guys feel comfortable with, I'm comfortable with. Because that, that's not something I'm willing to stand on. That is what it is.
And you could always come back to us as needed if you knew there were certain events coming and you needed to
Exactly.
start at 8 or whatever. All right. So I think what I'm just trying to get to a compromise here and move on. So are we saying that we're okay with the 10 a.m. start on the liquor license until 1 a.m. because that's what we've allowed Parker's and all these other establishments to do? Is that what the board's saying?
So, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
So although, the other establishments are open till 1 a.m., I believe last call is at midnight. And all the patrons have to be out by 12:30. And then all the employees have to be out by 1.
Can we confirm that, Amanda and Mike?
Just to
Okay.
clarify too,
Yeah.
what I would be going for would be, I would have till 1 and I would do last call at 12:30, last drink over the bar at 12:45, all the patrons out at 1. And then usually you have, I think it's like an hour, even 2 hours to clean up the place until 2 before the employees have to go.
Mike?
So my understanding is that it's no alcohol served. If it's a 1 o'clock, no alcohol served after 12:30, and everyone has to be out of the bar by 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Including the employees, Mike King?
1:30 would be employees.
Then let's do that. Let's say 12:30 last call. Everybody out by 1, employees out by 1:30. Can we agree to that?
Mr.
Yep.
Chair?
Yep.
So I think last call is at midnight.
I think
Employee-
Mike King's saying 12:30, Jim.
Mike said the last drink over the bar was 12:30. Correct, Mike?
That's what was on Parker's. Amanda, can you correct me if I'm misstating that?
And hey, moving forward, no fault of anyone on this call, but before we do another one of these flipping things, we're going to have a spreadsheet with every restaurant and bar in town, the hours of operation, the time, because we're not doing this again. As much as I love you guys in this conversation. And AJ, I apologize. We normally have our poop together, so I apologize that we're taking a little extra time here on something that should be relatively easy. We do not want to screw this up, and we do not want to give you something that we're not giving the other people, and we do not want to take something away from you that we're giving the other people, if that makes sense. So I do apologize to everybody.
No problem at all. And I will say, if depending on what the other guys do, the other restaurants in town, if they do have the 12:30 to 12:45, I would push for that, as opposed to, I don't really care so much in the morning, but the late night is kind of where I would go for it more.
Yeah. Okay. No, I appreciate that. Mike, is there any way we could we improve this motion with the understanding that we would figure out the closing time, or do we need to have the hours of operation hammered down before we can formally approve this motion?
So I would just state, based on AJ's opening timeline, which I believe is September, we could possibly continue the public hearing, get all the information that the board needs and is requesting, have it all in a package. That way everybody's looking at it, and then make a decision based on that.
AJ, would you be amenable to that? Would you give us that grace and let us get our ducks in a row here? We'll continue this public hearing to maybe our August 19th meeting that has 3,000 things on it. I know that because Michelle, Mike, and I were looking at the agendas today. Would you be open to that, AJ?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah, Attorney Timpson, go ahead.
The one sort of fly in the ointment to doing that is the ABCC. I mean, he doesn't operate, he doesn't have the right to operate based upon just getting the town's okay. It then has to go to the ABCC. I've been finding that they've been taking, a couple of months to have it churn through that system. Now, I know they had released a whole bunch of Boston licenses over the winter. I want to say like 100 licenses, so they were super busy. Maybe it has, the timeline has dissipated a little bit, but we sort of targeted this meeting so that we could get it. We were hoping to get it to the ABCC and get him up and operating, by the end of September, which I think if it goes to the August meeting, it's not likely to get through the ABCC in that amount of time.
Mike and Amanda, what are your thoughts on that?
So we would have it prepared to be able to overnight it to them the very next day and get all that information. I can't speak for the ABCC and how long they're going to turn around an application. I would go off Attorney Timmonson's past experience on the end of the license holder of how long that turnaround is and what they need as a business.
I haven't had it take less than a couple of months. In the things I've filed in 2025 and late 2024, they've all taken several months to get through the ABCC.
Okay, so I don't want to hold him up if at all possible. I think we have to vote on this then tonight and push it through. So we're saying Parker's did what? 8 to 1. What was their hours? Remind me, Mike and Amanda.
8 to 1.
Every night of the week.
Monday to Saturday, 10 to 1 on Sunday.
Okay. So can we do 10 to 1 every night of the week, including Sundays, with a last call of 12:30? And or can we confirm on the fly what the gavel's last call is and what Parker's last call is, and what time the patrons need to be out and what time the staff needs to be out? Because clearly, if we postpone the public hearing, continue the public hearing, he's not going to hit his deadline, and I don't want to do that to him.
And I just want to confirm, when you say last call, I would have the last call and then an additional 15 minutes to, for people to come up and get the drink. So the last drink, 12:45, everyone out at 1.
No alcohol served after 12:30.
Okay, so you're saying last call like 12:15 then, and then everyone out at 12, or
no alcohol across that bar at 12:30.
Yeah, you're pouring your last drink at 12:29 and placing it on the bar at 12:30 is what I'm understanding from that.
Sure.
And do we have that information about the gavel and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and I apologize. And Rooster.
Well, the Rooster closes at 11, so it's really a non-issue. That's just such different from 11 to 1. So
I know Amanda's going through our documents right now.
Okay. And is the rest of the board members okay with that?
What's that, Mr. Chair?
10 to 12, 10 to 1, but 12:30 last call. Everyone's out by 1.
No, 12 o'clock last call, over the bar, 12:30.
everybody out by 1.
Yes.
And then employees by what time, Mike? Do the employees have to go?
A half hour after the closing time.
Okay.
But we just said the last drink was poured at 12:30.
12:20.
Roy, that's not right. That's not right.
That's what
Not 12, it's not
what
12
Jimmy said.
o'clock. It's not 12 o'clock last call. It's 12:30 last call. If that's
No,
when the
you
last,
can't serve it. You can't serve it.
So
You
I
get
think-
last call at 12:30 and serve it by 12:31. It's not going to happen.
last
with
drink
this-
poured at 12:30 is what we're trying to say. So
Yeah,
go ahead, AJ. What were you
So,
gonna
Mr.
say?
Chair,
I just
Mr.
think
Chair.
we're confused on what's going on with, what we're calling last call. So I think what I would assume is the main concern is I can't serve any alcohol past 12:30.
Yes.
Whether or not I call last call at 12:20 or 12:15 or 12:10 for people to come up, as long as I don't serve one past 12:30, I'm fine with that. I think, it seems to be that everyone is on that page, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what I've been trying to say. There's no booze across the bar past 12:30. I think I've said that 30 times, but let me just say it 31. There's no booze across the bar past 12:30.
Perfect.
Okay, is that what we agree to?
Yes.
Okay, Jim, you had something else to add?
No, you just clarified.
All right, thank you. At this time, I think we should go to a vote. I think we have enough information here. And to Jim's point, I think we need to take a hard look at all these licenses as they come up to make sure that we're being fair and consistent across the board. I don't want anyone to say that we're giving special privilege to one person and not to another person. And I want to make sure that we're being fair to the neighbors, the abutters, the whole thing. But so at this time, I guess I would,
Mr. Chair,
yeah,
this being a public meeting, does anyone in the public want some input?
it's a great call. Does anyone in the public have anything to add? Please raise your hand if you do. State your name and address for the record. Doesn't look like anyone does, but thank you for
Okay.
that, Timmy.
Yep.
Um,
And Mr. Chair, if Anthony wants to have an event, like a special event like the Gavel does with a turkey trot, he's able to come to us to ask for that permission if something's going to happen before 10 a.m., correct?
yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
Okay, just want a clarification and make sure that that's an option for him.
If we do come to find out that, I know we're pretty adamant on the 12:30, but we come to find out that the gavel is 12:45, will I be awarded that same privilege?
So I have to talk to the board about that, because clearly there's some feeling on the board that the 12:30 last drink across the bar at 12:30, if not is the norm, should be the norm. So I would say the board would need to take that up at a later time and discuss how we're going to adjust all the other licenses moving forward.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
Okay. So at this time, Chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing for the all alcohol general on-premise license application for AJ's Pub located at 303 Shear Street.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion made by Selectman Anderson, second by Selectman Harrington. Any further discussion? Being none, do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
Yes.
Anderson,
Anderson's a yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Lamoth,
Yes.
Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, now at this time, we're gonna have to walk through this slowly. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the all alcohol general on-premise common victualler and entertainment license applications for AJ's Pub located at 303 Shear Street, pending applicant is in good standing with Department of Inspections. And per the conversation about the hours of operation, which I'll state for the record again, would be 10 a.m. To what's the official closing time?
One.
I know 12:30
1
is the
a.m.
last drink.
1
1
Is it
a.m.
1?
1
Okay.
a.m.
So open time of 10 o'clock, closing time of 1 a.m. 7 days a week.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do we have to close last call?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry, Jim. Do I have to
Can you-
close what?
Do we have to disclose his last, he can't serve beyond 12:30?
With the friendly amendment to the motion, no alcohol passes the bar for sale after 12:30.
So moved.
Thank you, Lord.
Second,
Motion made by Selectman Anderson. No, who made the motion? It was Harrington,
Anderson.
and then Harrington seconded it
Correct.
with the friendly emotion, with the friendly amendment. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
Rouse, yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Lamoth,
Yes.
Gallo, motion carries 5-0. Again, I want to apologize, Anthony, and Attorney Timpson. So sorry that there was this much confusion. Clearly, we have to get our ducks in a row internally here. I'll take responsibility for that, being the chair. And welcome to the community. We're excited to have you. We love and support our small businesses, our restaurateurs, our bar owners. I think if you ask around, you'll see that. We'll be the first group there on your soft open, purchasing food and a libation. So I can't wait. Thank you for your patience this evening. Thank you, Attorney Timpson. Looking forward to having this place get open.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much. I look forward to it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
board
right.
members. And I just want to mention Amanda is a great asset to your town. She's really very user-friendly and extremely helpful and knows her stuff. So
Attorney Timpson, I couldn't have said it better myself. We're lucky to have Amanda. and all of our town employees, but Amanda is definitely a star. She's doing a great job for us. We couldn't do this meeting, any of these meetings without her. So thank you for acknowledging that. I'll make sure I know she heard you. She's hopefully smiling, and I'm sure she appreciates the kind sentiment. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Yeah.
let's move on, if that's okay with the board. At this time, we're gonna go to, we already did R&M, so it looks like we're gonna go to tab 5, which is interview and appointment of Evelyn Zeff for the Cultural Council. In our packets, we have Cultural Council volunteer application from Evelyn Zeff. And everyone's at this time had a chance to review that packet information. Looks like we have Evelyn with us. Evelyn, welcome to the meeting. So great to have you. Please just give us a quick hello. And we understand that you're interested in the Cultural Council. We understand, I know you served there previously, you had a cooling off period, and now you're looking to reserve again. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So welcome to the meeting. Just give us a quick, why you're interested in getting back involved.
I've been pretty active culturally with the Cultural Council for a long time. I have served as chair for a couple of terms. I've been off the council for the past year because we have term limits from the Mass Cultural Council. But I do like, working with all the members of the council and putting together exhibits in the museum, and we do Arts on the Common, and I like to contribute to those things, and I've got a lot of experience with the Mass Cultural Council and all the regulations and writing grants and reviewing grants, which is the main function of the council. So
Well
I just
said.
like to continue with it.
Well said, and I know your work has definitely been appreciated over the years. I know you've been a resident here for 37 years, so thank you for that. Thank you for your work on the council. In light of time, I'm going to ask if any of the board members have any questions or comments for Evelyn, starting with Selectwoman Rouse. Do you have anything to add?
Just that we're appreciative of all the years of service that you've given to the Cultural Council, and I think we're very fortunate to have you to want to remain and get back involved. So thank
Well
you.
said. Selectman Anderson?
Yeah, no, Evelyn's done a good job in the past on that committee, and I'm confident she'll continue to do the same good work she's been doing.
Great. Selectman Harrington?
Yeah, but I agree with Selectman Rouse and Selectman Hanson. She'll do a great job. I appreciate her volunteering. Thank you.
And Selectman Lamar?
Echo Michelle. Yes, thank you. Appreciate all your efforts.
All right, at this time, Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Evelyn Zeff to the Cultural Council for a term effective immediately and expiring on June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made by Selectman Anderson, second by, who was that?
Michelle.
Me.
Selectwoman Rouse. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
yes.
Selectman Anderson,
Yes.
Selectman Harrington,
Barrington, yes.
Selectman Lamoth.
Lamoth, yes.
Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Evelyn, please go see the town's clerk office for swearing in and state ethics information. Welcome back to the Cultural Council.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is tab 6, interview and appointment of Jennifer Wehoff for the Open Space Committee. In our packets, we have Open Space Committee volunteer application from Jennifer. She did speak at one of the last meetings. There is a letter in our packet as well from Alan Selling. Jennifer, are you with us? I do not see, I don't know if Jennifer's here, but again, her application's in the packet. Pretty impressive resume there. There is a letter from Alan Selling.
Yeah.
Alan, are you trying to address the board?
Yeah, there seems to be an issue with the login number,
Okay.
and I think some folks have had trouble getting in, and maybe Jennifer might be one of them. Because I tried the number on the notice and it doesn't work. The hyperlink on the town website works, but if you just used it manually, it didn't work.
Understood. So the meeting ID is not working correctly.
Right.
All right. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Can we post in the chat? Oh, it doesn't help her. Can someone reach out to her and give her the appropriate meeting ID and password? I'd like to give her an opportunity to log in and address the board quickly. I think the vote's going to go very favorably for her, but I do want to provide her that courtesy, as that's as what we typically do. Amanda and Mike, can we get Alan? Do we have a cell phone number for Jennifer? And if we do, can we get her this information?
Let me look, see if I have one.
Obviously, Alan, if you do, don't read it out. We'll just.
Yes, science.
I know, I know you're very smart. I just want to make sure, because with my luck,
So we have her contact information in our application. We can reach out to her right now.
should we hold Mike, or should we move on and come back?
It's up to the discretion of the board if you want to go to another agenda item and come back.
I do.
Wait for her to get on.
I do. So let's hold on that agenda item, everybody. I want to give her the same. I want to afford her the same opportunities as everybody else, just to be fair.
Yeah.
And at this time, we can move to tab 7 for a DPW presentation. I believe I saw with us. Sorry for the delay. We got Greg. We have Mike. We have Scott from CMS, and then we have HKA. We've got Greg and Mike. At this time, I'm gonna just, I don't know if John Murphy is available. Greg?
Selectman Gallo, yes, he is. He's on my cell phone. He is having some connection problems, but I do have him on the phone. So, John, I don't know if you can speak to see if the board can hear you.
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
So very faintly, but everyone, John Murphy is the chair of the DPW Building Committee. I sit on that committee, as well as Mike King and a few other residents, as well as Brian Antonoli, the DPW director. John Murphy is an electrical engineer by trade, very knowledgeable in DPW facilities and other municipal and non-municipal buildings. Was a perfect fit for the chair for this committee. And he's away on vacation, but he's graciously logged in via Greg's cell phone just to kind of welcome everybody and introduce Greg and his team and move on. So John, please proceed, and thank you for taking time out of your vacation to be with us.
Thank you, Selectman Gallo. Good evening, everyone. John Murphy, Chairman of the Wrentham DPW Building Committee. I'd like to, before I introduce Mr. Greg Yachenko from HKA, I'd like to introduce our committee members, Mr. Lou Oliverio, registered architect, as well as Mr. Gallo himself, Mike King, Joseph Cameron, as well as Tom DePlasso. With all these people here with their building expertise, we've done a lot in the last 2 years. Little synopsis, we were formed about 2 years ago. We looked at reusing the existing facility. We looked at it top to bottom. We actually hired a structural engineer to see if it was feasible to reuse it for a new DPW. Upon getting the engineer's review comments, we found that the building structure deficient would not meet current code, which would have to bring it up to a level 3 renovation, which means a complete reno, and it'd be cost prohibitive. Seeing that the DPW director needs a lot more square footage, that building actually, after we got all the notifications that the building's not feasible to reuse it, we're going to use it as cold storage. That roughly saves about $120,000 from raising it and doing all the hazardous abatement. So the board had selected to do that as a cost-saving issue. And then in turn, we hired a construction management service by the name of Construction Monitoring Services, which Mr. Neil Joyce is our point of contact for this board. They've been instrumental in getting us an architect, in which we interviewed many architects, myself and Mr. Lou Elavito. And in the end, we chose with HKA to kind of lead us in the direction for a new DPW garage and try to keep it under $17 million that we've had. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Greg Yachenko from HKA. Greg, if you can take it away.
And
Thank you, John.
Greg, if you don't mind, before I turn it over to you, John, thank you so much for that. I do just want to mention that, as John said, John, extensive background, electrical engineer, has done many of these. Lou Avalito, as he said, is also an architect with extensive experience, owned a very successful architectural firm. So he has vast knowledge and design of these municipal buildings. Joe Cameron actually is a superintendent for a big construction company in Boston. He literally builds skyscrapers, so he has vast construction knowledge. We have Tom DePlacido, who owns DePlacido Development here in Wrentham, longtime Wrentham resident, very successful residential and commercial developer, vast knowledge of both the residential and commercial development markets. Brian Antonoli, our DPW super, Mike King, our town manager, and myself has, I like to think, decent amount of real estate investment development experience. So we feel like we put together a very competent team. And we then, as John said, we hired the OPM, our owner's property management company, which is CMS. Scott is here to represent them. And then we then hired HKA. And Greg and Mike are here from HKA. So Greg, with that being said, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Mike, if you could share the slide presentation. We were asked to put a quick overview together on this. And as Mike is pulling that up, I would just like to give you a little background on HKA. We have done approximately 30 DPW or DPW type facilities. So we are very familiar with this. Most recently, we're currently working on the Whitman and the Hudson new DPWs, which should be coming online late August, early September. So to give you a little background, this is just a quick overview of this, the existing or the proposed facility. Mike, next slide, please. Okay. To go through the process, we were retained in mid-April. We executed our contract and had the kickoff meeting with the town. We did a series of site surveys and assessment of the existing facility and the existing operations. We worked with the DPW staff to develop the programming requirements. And what we believe has been developed are practical and reasonable program requirements. We're building for current needs, as well as a projection out in the future of about 10 to 20 years. That may sound like, well, are we overbuilding? The answer is no. They're looking to increase the staff probably potentially by about 2 or 3 slots. Some of those are currently vacant. But we have sized the program to meet the current needs and future needs. The goal is to design a facility that will operate and function well for the town over the next 50 years. So we have been going through a couple of committee review meetings to review this. We've refined the scope. We're currently in the process of doing a 21E phase 1 assessment. Because it's an existing site, the original DPW was built in around 1970s. It's always a good idea to make sure that you've confirmed what environmental events have occurred on the site. So that is underway, as well as we will have started the topographic surveys, and the geotechnical consultant will be doing the borings in the next week or so. Next slide, please, Mike. All of you may be familiar. It's 360 Taunton Street, the kind of the square area there that's been circled. The existing site is approximately 12.5 acres, and you will see a series of existing buildings on there. Most important, I would just want to show, and Mike, if you can kind of circle it with the cursor, is where the existing composting and leaf collection area is. That is you'll see in the proposed plan where the new DPW will be going, and it will straddle that line by, a couple hundred feet. This way we can keep the existing operations up and running during construction of the new facility, as well as this is the area designated that is probably least likely to have any contaminated soils. Again, there's no super concerns about it yet, but we will find out when we do the 21E assessment. Next slide, please, Mike. For those of you who haven't been down there, you can see the white building that says DPW on its existing operations. That includes offices on the second floor, vehicle repair garage, vehicle storage garage. Some of the spaces had to be moved out into the trailer in the back, as you can see in the rear. Then there's an existing salt shed, the one in the middle with the white kind of barn shape. That is the new current shed that it will remain fully operational even after the new DPW is done. And then you'll see the other one, which was the old salt shed, that kind of lime green color, that is currently being used as storage. That will be demolished to accommodate the new DPW. And as you also see in the front there, that is the existing salt loading ramp, which we will be adding a new ramp. The existing building is about 8,500 square feet. And as I mentioned, it's circa 1970. Next slide, please, Mike. So the proposed facility, we're doing a base bid facility of about 25,800 square feet, which includes the offices, vehicle repairs, and vehicle storage for 18 vehicles. And you'll see that we have an alternate which add an additional vehicle storage bay that would add about parking for 6 vehicles. The reason we're doing this is because we want to be very cost conscious. Currently, the target construction budget, which is for the hard cost of construction, is 17 million. So by going with a base bid and an alternate, we feel comfortable that gives the town some flexibility and the project would not have to go out to rebid if for some reason the prices came in high. We are currently working on the estimates, and so far the bidding climate appears to be very good. We recently bid the Boxford DPW that was estimated at $19 million, and it came in at $16 million. Again, that may be an anomaly, but the trendings are good for DPWs coming out now. One of the other items that we were asked to include in the project is redevelopment of the existing site, primarily for the drainage and pavement and grading. There are ponding problems, some drainage problems around the site. So we've been asked to create a unit price for that. And again, the reason it would be identified as a unit price is under Massachusetts public bid laws, you have to award alternates on when you execute the contract. In this case, with the unit price, if there's funds available, we can exercise that at any time. The new facility will have a new septic system, vehicle wash bay, which is required by code, parking for about 40 vehicles, and the facility will accommodate 29 employees. I believe that you currently have about 26 employees. That's the 3 additional slots are for future hires that are anticipated over the next several years to decade. Next slide, please, Mike. As you can see, the layout, and I've tried to color code it for quick and easy convenience. The green area is primarily the administrative area. That would include the ready room or break room for the crews, the required locker rooms, men's and women's locker rooms that would have offices for the foremen and supervisors to work. And then there'd also be offices for the director, as well as the various staff personnel that are currently working at the existing DPW. The kind of copper tone on the left, where right above floor plan, that is the vehicle repair bay. That would include 2 vehicle repair bays, as well as support area for like tools, fluid storage, a mechanic's office and restroom with mezzanine storage as well. The blue area is a combination of the vehicle storage as well as some additional spaces like the water department, tool rooms, and as you can see in the middle there where the truck is next to the 2 stairs, that would be the wash bay. Well, we have found wash bays can sit idle most of the time if you're, because you're not washing trucks 24/7. But by sharing the space, we've made it more flexible where additional vehicles can be parked there during the evenings. The other thing we've done is this cross aisle with the tandem parking and the other exits to the side. The reason being is this makes the most flexible use of the facility where trucks can be pulled in and out relatively easy. In the case of like snow emergencies, the subcontractors or other town vehicles can be queued up in that cross aisle so that they are ready to go in a snow emergency or some kind of other inclement weather. Then finally, you'll see the gold area up at the top. That is what we are calling the alternate number 1. Essentially, it's 1 additional storage bay that can get up to 6 to 8 vehicles, depending on the size of the vehicles. As you can see right now, we show the large 10-wheelers with the plows on them. And what we do by making these the tandem bays is in the future, if you get other larger vehicles, like some of the towns have vac trucks, those are 55-foot long trucks. Usually they will take 2 spaces. And by making the facility flexible, you can either put seasonal equipment in or larger vehicles if necessary, or a vehicle with a trailer ready to pull out for the next day's work. Next slide, please, Mike. So this is the new site plan. As you can see right at the edge of the building there, that is approximately where the edge of the existing, might go up to the edge of the building there. Right about there is where Mike's cursor is. That's about where the existing DPW site ends. However, the adjacent site is also town-owned property. So that is why we had the discussion. The committee has agreed that we would kind of straddle that area. So we will be taking care of building partly in the current composting pile, which is kind of that gray underneath the building there. I mean, it's brown area that you see underneath the building. And then we extend about 200 feet north of that. The 40 parking spaces, you'll see employee parking as well as visitor parking in the front. Then you'll have fleet parking within the building as well as along the perimeter. We will be leaving the existing salt shed up. The existing building, as was mentioned by John, will remain cold storage area. And then where the existing lime green building was, you'll see there's the new salt loading ramp. And this is ideal for operations because trucks can move down from the new DPW to drive between the ramp and salt storage, or they can loop around the facility as necessary. As I mentioned, the existing pavement is in poor condition around the existing DPW, as well as having some drainage problems. So that is why we've been asked to prepare plans, hopefully for this project, but if not, the plans could be used at a future date to pave the area and regrade it and address the drainage problems. The committee felt very strongly about that because of the new facility, they would also like to make sure that all the paving and everything is also safe around the existing building. Next slide, Mike, please. All right. For those of you who are familiar with this is coming down the drive. I show the first slide where it says existing composting area, because basically when you take a right there, that will be the entrance for the new facility, and you'll see the white building in the background. And then the other 2 slides just kind of basically show you where the existing composting piles are, and that is essentially where the new facility will go. Next slide. So what we'd like to do, it's about a 60-second flyover. Mike will pull that up, but it's a video walking you around the building so you will have a sense of the scale, size, and materials on the building. This is essentially the front entrance. This is where the handicap parking, offices, and break room along the front with the glass. As you move around that first drive where Mike's cursor is the service drive. And then the other drive, this drive-through drive. And then the other 2 where the dump truck is, that would be the service garage. You'll see the natural lighting. We are having a tour of the Hudson facility next week so that everybody can get a sense of the operations. These are those tandem bays that I was talking about with the overhead door. So each bay can accommodate 2 trucks, up to 3 to 4 trucks deep. Same idea on the other side. There'll be some offices where the trees are, and mechanical equipment will not be seen on the roof. It'll be on the well, and that is kind of the overview. So that is a quick overview of the project. I'll be happy to address any questions anybody may have.
Greg, thanks very much for a very concise but brief summary of kind of where we're at to date. Appreciate that. I am going to open it up to the board in just 1 second to ask any questions or comments. I will say to the existing board members, the reason that the committee felt it was adamant to address the existing parking lot is because we have town employees using that fuel island for fuel, obviously, and we have residents that go back there. We have buses that are parked back there. So it's an active site. We didn't want to quote unquote abandon the old site and just kind of keep it as dry storage. We felt that wasn't, the appropriate thing to do. So as Greg said, it is an adult or a an add-on. Greg, what's the correct
Unit
terminology?
price.
Unit price, thank you.
Yes.
Depending on how competitive the pricing comes in. So, and again, I can't stress this enough. We put together this DPW building committee with the ultimate goal, the primary goal of being conscious of taxpayer dollars. So every meeting we have, and Mike King can attest to this, and I want Mike King to share a little bit in a second about some of the things we've been preparing for this for decades. But I want the board to know that every meeting we have, and Greg can tell you, we talk about price at least 20 times and the burden to the taxpayer. Greg knows we're not looking for anything glitzy and glamorous. We want something that meets the needs of our people, that's safe, and that gets the job done. And you know, the issue that we have an asset issue. Our current assets, meaning our fleet of vehicles, is not protected with the current facility, costing us, the taxpayers, a lot of money when those vehicles are left to the elements. And the other thing, the bigger and more important asset issue we have is a talent issue. We have a very difficult time keeping morale high with the current facility or lack thereof that we have. So what we're finding is, and Mike can also attest, Mike King can attest to this, we're spending tons of time and money hiring people and training them, and they're leaving us to go to other facilities. So it's costing us, the taxpayers, a fortune in lost retention. So it's critical that we figure this out. And I know no one wants to spend money, and no one wants to, spend money on a DPW facility. I know we have schools that are also, out there. We just had Tri-County, but I believe this is very important for the community. So with that being said, I'd like to ask Mike King just to touch on a few of the things that we're trying to do to further lessen the financial burden of the taxpayer. And then I'll open up to the board for any comments or questions to Greg and the team.
So a new DPW facility is something that the town financially has been planning for several years now. Part of that, actually, we just did it at this most recent June town meeting, is continuing to put away money in the town's capital stabilization fund that could be used to offset the costs of DPW facility. So the idea is you take the approximately $4 million in capital stabilization, you put it towards the new building. That's less money you need to borrow, less interest, which provides reduced savings to the taxpayer. Additionally, the select board took an important step this past spring when it voted to include as part of its water rates 50% of the costs for the debt from the Water Enterprise Fund. The idea behind that being that 50% of the DPW's operations are related to the water enterprise, and 50% are general fund. So when you take the combination of those two factors, there is the ability to really lessen the impact to the taxpayer if there is a successful vote at town meeting in the fall. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to open it up to the board members for comment. And I'll start with Selectwoman Rouse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if any of us go to the current DPW building, we can see how this is needed for our town. And I'm appreciative to hear that the committee was so diligent in ensuring that cost was at the forefront in their design and what was needed. In terms of equipment so I understand it now, our equipment isn't really covered now. And that we talk about the retention of employees and what it costs to retrain, hire individuals. It's the same for equipment that's not covered, correct? So having this now covered is going to help with the longevity of our equipment.
Greg, I'll let you take that.
So there's no official study done except for one that came out of the Iowa State Department of Transportation. Basically, they're saying that, and I'm not going to say Iowa has the exact same weather as New England, but they do get snow and cold and heat and everything like we do. But basically what they're finding is by having vehicles undercover, these expensive vehicles, they're adding about 3 to 5 years to the life of the vehicle. And when you're talking about, $250,000 or $500,000 for some of these pieces of equipment, the dollars add up very quickly. So just by having them undercover, you're reducing maintenance as well as wear and tear on the facility.
Great, thank you. Just another question. Was there anything that was requested for this new building or facility that we were not able to incorporate due to the high cost or just not making sense at this point?
So the only thing that was asked is originally the project started out with 3 service bays. That would be the directors, DPW's directors, ideal to have 3 service bays. However, after several discussions and the way we've configured the bays and everything, we've agreed that it made sense that 2 bays would still support the operations over the next 20 to 50 years. And it's just a matter of sequencing how operations go. The other thing we're adding to accommodate the 1 lesser bay was by putting an in-ground lift, which will allow the DPW directors and mechanics to work on a wider range of vehicles, from the large 10-wheelers to potentially even for some of the other departments, like potentially fire or police. I always hesitate when I say fire because fire is pretty specific and they usually send those out. But other things like police cruisers and vehicles like that in the town fleet can be easily supported at this vehicle repair garage. So that's the only thing that was at this point in time cut out on the facility.
Great. Okay. No further questions. Thank you very much for the information.
No problem. Selectman Anderson.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I think that building is long overdue. That building should have probably been replaced probably 15, 20 years ago. The DPW and water employees, they provide a valuable service to the town, and they should have a building that they're happy with, and it fits in with their work environment. And I fully support this project.
Thank you, Selectman Anderson. Selectman Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, just a couple of questions. So the 17 million is the base, and then the alt ads would be additional with parking, paving, whatnot. So, I mean, is there any dollar figure with that? Is it, an 8 to 10 million?
So let me be
anything?
clear. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the $17 million is to give you that gray area that we showed on the site plan, which would be the surrounding pavement, parking, water, septic system for a complete usable facility. As you can see, I see in that gray area. So that is what the 17 million is for. The additional funds would be for the redevelopment of the existing pavement around the existing facility. We don't have a firm number on that yet. We have a big range. The reason being is that is why we're waiting for the 21E environmental assessment to see if there's any concerns of potential contamination or not of the soils. Several of the DPWs we had, it's kind of hit or miss. What we're doing in Whitman now, they just hit 1,000-gallon oil tank that was unknown under the building. Needless to say, that's costing some money to clean up. So this is why we're trying to do some of the research now. So we'll be happy to come back at a future date with a harder estimate and give you the numbers and where they fall in. But at this point in time, we just feel it's a little premature without knowing what the environmental conditions of that site are to even be able to put a price range. Because if I gave you a swing of $1 million, does that really help you at this point in time? So that's why we're holding off on that pricing right now.
Okay, yeah, because the other concern is like the bus area where they park the buses. That would be down in the older area also, and with the amount of employees in and out of there, with the buses from homes, the fire going in and out, and the fuel for the PD. That's a concern that they have. If we're going to do a safe area, that's something that we'd clearly want to look at. And the only other question I had was would be for Mike King and maybe the folks on the building committee. Was there any discussion about bringing the building department into that facility, into the office space, and moving them into this more modern facility rather than that little shed that they work out of?
So Bill, I'll take the first stab at that, and then Mike can correct whatever I don't come up with. The first stab was the parking lot. And as we said, that's why the committee felt so strongly that we needed to look at the parking lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you have buses down there. You have, we're swinging $1 million pumpers down there, and it's a dust pit, with divots and potholes, as you well know. So the committee is is we're not just going to build a pretty new building and then abandon the old facility. It's one active facility. That's why we're hoping that the bidding comes in favorably so that we can do what we want to do to both the existing facility, the new facility, and the parking lot. That's
Yep.
my answer to that question. The answer to the second question is, this goes back to Joe Botash, our beloved previous chairman. You know, there was a vision and there was a group of people that believed that we wanted to go in the direction of a land use building, right? So the idea was to potentially put not only the building department there, but some communities, they put anybody that you need to talk to for a permit, they have them all in one facility. So you're not driving to you're not driving to the planning department, then you're not driving to the building department, then you're not driving to the assessor. You know, the original plan called for a much larger building, and this was even before Greg. That's why he didn't mention this. Proactively, though, the existing building committee at the time just knew what the costs were going to be, and it was cost prohibitive for us to bring a department over, because then that's additional space that we have to make this building larger. So that idea was, you know, unfortunately, we thought, although it would be great if, you know, costs weren't not an important issue, but we decided it just wasn't feasible at this point. Mike, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would agree. The town even went the route of commissioning a study from Weston and Sampson that included a land use building, and the amount of square footage that would be required to include land use with the DPW building was simply cost prohibitive at this time. In order to fulfill the needs of the DPW, that would take the financial resources available for the project alone.
Right, I understand, but I mean, if you take the square footage of the building that John Naff works out of, I mean, and bring that into a more modern facility and bring it into, you know, the 2025, it couldn't possibly take up that much more space and be cost prohibitive and then to move him into the new facility also, rather than working down in the woods in that little building. It doesn't, if you're going to spend 17 million, what's it going to cost to add office space, similar square footage to what he has? Another 500 grand.
So I'll take that in two pieces. One part is we did look at possibly adding a second floor in the future. Greg can even talk about, we did discuss, could we do a staircase for future expansion? There's obviously costs associated with that. The second piece is anything that we put towards adding the inspections department, because square footage costs more money, is something that we're taking away from the DPW. Right. And, the goal here is to give them a long-term building that fulfills their needs, not just now, but 10, 20, 30 years into the future. And there are items, that the chairman even talked about in terms of the site itself, with the pavement for the prior DPW facility, or the current one for that matter, that depending on the way the bids come in may or may not be within our financial means. So until we actually know what we're coming in at, in terms of costs, it's tough to estimate in terms of, what should we be carrying forward something when, in this case, an inspections build addition, when we don't even know if we're going to be able to afford all the adults that we need for the DPW.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. It just seems, if you're going to be going for 17 million, just to bring it all under the one roof and go for hypothetically 19.
But who knows?
That's my only thoughts. That's all.
Who knows where the bid's going to come in, though, Bill? What if the bid comes in at 20 as is, and now we're adding another $1 million or $2 million for the building department? We already own the building. We already own the building department building. I know it's not ideal, but it's not falling down. The goal here is to get a DPW facility.
Sure, and the next thing that they'll be looking for is to move the building department, which is going to, hype down the road. They're not going to be sitting in a nasty little shed packed in the woods. It's 2025, so that's going to be another project that'll come down the road. That I just think we should be entertaining the one cost. That's all. My only thoughts. That's all.
Appreciate your opinion. Thank you so much. Any other comments, Selectman Harrington?
No.
Okay. Selectman Lamothe.
I think we should consider an alternative too, and just put in a little bit more office square footage just to see what the price comes in at. I mean, if the price came in below 17 million, which I heard that a previous quote came in almost $2 million less, if that happened here, would we turn around and say, okay, let's add some square footage for the building department? So why not have an alternative too and let them quote it?
I don't even, and that's fine. I mean, that we could take that to the DPW building committee and have a discussion, but I'm not ready to agree with you two that that's where the building department should go. What are we basing this on? Is there any other town-owned facilities that we already own that we could retrofit for the building department that might be a better fit? I think you gotta, I think that opens up a whole separate conversation that we need to have about the longevity of the building department. Where does the town see it? Do we want to group it with other facilities? Do we want to try to get it to town hall? I just don't know that like that's the spot that everyone thinks the building department should go. Is my only concern.
Chris, if I may add something, please.
Sure, Greg, go ahead.
Yes. So I just want everybody to be clear, and I don't want anybody leaving this meeting or the public to think, okay, again, I just want to be clear that the target construction budget, that is the hard cost for the facility, is 17 million. Now, when you start putting FF&E, fixtures, furnishings, and equipment, designer fees, OPM fees, inspection fees, and everything, that number goes up, you know, a considerable amount, you know, and we're talking millions of dollars. So, you know, again, I think everybody would be, you know, pleased to design whatever the town needs, as long as the town's willing to absorb the cost. But I just want everybody to be clear. The 17 million is the target budget for the hard cost.
Right.
Then you have the soft cost on top of that. So
Right.
this project will come in higher than the 17 million if you add all the costs together. So I just want to clarify that so people aren't walking out thinking everything's going to be done for $17 million.
No.
That is just for the hard cost.
Mhm.
And that number isn't guaranteed either. We still haven't, I mean, Greg, the next meeting we have, right? You owe us kind of more firm pricing.
Yes, you will have the estimate. Yes, correct.
Right. So, you know, if it turns out that the site you mentioned was an anomaly and things are actually bidding at $800 a square foot, then we actually might need to make cuts to the existing proposed, you know, program. So I just want the board members to know that, like, we are ready to cut if we have to, while still giving the DPW what they need to be successful. But we just don't know where the pricing is going to come in right now. So I think that's a very important thing to mention. Mike, any other comments that you might have, or Greg, or you know, Scott, or Mike, or from HKA, or CMS? Anybody have any additional comments for the board? Or Mike King, do you have anything to?
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, I think I'm all set. I would echo what Greg said at the end, you know, and just caution on the, you know, on the budget that, you know, when you get to the full program at the 29,000 square feet, you know, that number is going to be, best case scenario, you know, $17 million. So, we're hoping for good numbers. We've seen some softening in the economy with some recent bids. Greg's seen it, but you know, over the last few years, that number has ranged quite a bit. So, you know, we're looking forward to seeing Greg's estimate in the next couple weeks and just moving forward with the process. And if we need to make some cuts and do some VE exercises, we'll work hard with the committee to, you know, try to get as much as we can. But we also recognize that, you know, we don't want to get you a building that, you know, at the end of the day, that's too small. We want it to be right sized for the community. And, you know, we're working, with the board and, you know, doing what we can to, make sure that the costs are, you know, as, you know, come in as good as possible.
Yeah. Well said, Scott.
Chris, if I could also add, one of the things that we are doing right now, the schedule has this project being released to bid on September 3rd, so that when you go to town meeting in November, you will actually have the bid price in hand. You will know what the alternates are, you will know what the unit prices are. So if we get a very favorable bid, we might be able to recommend, hey, the bids came in really well, we can buy the alternate and we can buy the unit price, and this is what we suggest that you take to town meeting. If the prices aren't, and that's why we've tried to design the bid set to be as flexible as possible so that you have a hard number to take to town meeting and it's not just a guess or something so that you have to come back later. So that is one of the strategies we are using as well.
All right, great. Well, listen, Greg, appreciate you taking the time. You and Mike, Scott, everyone from CMS and HKA taking the time being with us this evening. We appreciate the preliminary review to the board. We'll make sure to update the board, as we achieve milestones and get pricing, and we should plan on having you back. We'll discuss with Mike King about having you back to represent to this board when we have more firm numbers. But, appreciate it. Appreciate your time being here with us tonight. And thank you so much. We're going to move on to the next agenda item.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
everyone.
Appreciate it. Okay, everybody, let's go back to tab number 6 if we can. Have we reached out to Jennifer? Is she with us? Yes, it looks like she is. Hi, Jennifer.
Yes. Hi,
how you
I'm
doing?
here.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to get my video.
It should be down at the bottom left. You should see audio and then video. And if you can't, it's okay too. We apologize. We understand there was some link issues, or I think you just muted yourself. Did she disappear on me? She may have.
There she is.
Okay, she's back.
I'm sorry about that. I'm on my phone. I'm not used to Zoom on my phone.
Don't worry about it. We apologize. It turns out we might have had like a meeting ID or a link issue from before. So we apologize if you couldn't get into the meeting. At this time, I just wanted to kind of welcome you. We appreciate you, coming out and, wanting to be part of the open space committee as an alternative. We at this time had a chance to look at your resume. It's impressive. We know you're almost a 5-year resident here. I'm going to open it up to the board members quickly to see if they have any questions for you, and then we'll take a vote. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Selectman Anderson, start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Jen, first of all, I want to thank you for your willingness to volunteer to the community. I can speak for just about every member on this board. We appreciate that. But if you were to get on the Open Space Committee, what are your objectives?
I really want to help preserve the town's open spaces and make them more accessible and useful for people to access and enjoy those open spaces. And also help aid with the development of the town to keep open spaces, increase the availability of open spaces, and really responsibly develop the town to make sure that we preserve the open space that we have and have more of a concentrated downtown area with open space around it. I think that's the kind of feel that the town likes based on my interpretation of talking with different townsfolks and being at different town meetings. And I think that that is also a responsible way to develop things in terms of environmental impact.
Well, thank you, Jen. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
Selectwoman Rouse.
Thank you, Jen. Happy to read your application. I think, as you mentioned, the board has the same sentiment with the importance of open space and keeping the clean air and the character of Wrentham as it is. So I'm happy to see that you have that same perspective and glad to see that you're interested in our open space committee. No further questions. Your application shared your qualifications and experience and interest in this position. Thank you.
Selectman Harrington.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So yeah, I mean, the application is great, and the letter recommendation from the open space chair. Thank you very much for bringing your expertise to our little town,
I think we lost
and
him.
look forward to meeting you in person.
No, I think it lost me.
Selectman Lamothe, can you hear us?
Looks like he's frozen.
Roy's frozen. Okay. We're gonna move on, Jen, just in the spirit. Oh, here he is. You back, Roy?
Yeah, I had a bad network connection, just kind of phased out. Thank you, Jen. I love your work with getting natural energy. I wonder if we could put that into the town somewhere, but that all costs money. But thank you for stepping up and volunteering. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
And as Selectman Harrington said, letter of support from Alan Selling is in our packet. So at this time, Chair would entertain a motion to appoint Jennifer Wehoff to the Open Space Committee as an alternate member for a term effective immediately and expiring on June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Motion made by Selectman Harrington, second by Selectman Lamothe. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse?
Yes.
Selectman Anderson?
Yes.
Selectman Harrington?
Harrington, yes.
Selectman Lamothe?
Lamothe, yes.
Chris Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Jen, congratulations, and please make sure to see the town clerk's office for swearing in and state ethics information. Welcome
Okay.
aboard.
Great. Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to tab number 8. This is a discussion on the reestablishment of elderly and disabled tax aid committee. So it's my understanding that, and Mike, I'm going to turn this over to you, but it's my understanding that at some point in time, Wrentham did in fact have this committee. It's already established. It was formed and charged, and then I think it might have the need might have dissipated at some point, and now we're just seeing the need, reoccur with the rise of costs and taxes, and obviously people living longer and staying in their homes longer. So, Mike, can you just give us a quick summary on this and tell us what the intent is tonight?
Sure. So one of the select board goals for FY26 is to reestablish the Elderly and Disabled Tax Aid Committee. And what this committee does is it oversees a bucket of voluntary donations and creates an application and eligibility process for residents that are either elderly or disabled and meet income guidelines to receive some tax relief for the benefit of generous residents and businesses within the community. So the town accepted the bylaw back in 2003. There was an active committee that later went inactive in 2018. So what's being proposed here is for the select board's consideration to post the positions on the committee as open, and for the board to solicit applications, and possibly at the August 19th meeting, interview some applicants for those positions and possibly appoint them, and then get the committee kickstarted again. So Mass General Law really limits, and this is for the Department of Revenue, what municipalities can solicit donations for from the public. This is an allowable donation solicitation, so the town can put within its tax bill mailings buck slips, which are about the third of a size of a piece of paper, informing people of the Elderly and Tax Aid Committee that it's been reestablished, what it's for, and that they can donate. And we can also put up some links on our website and allow for online donations as well. But the idea here is to restart the program, knowing that there is the possibility of some debt exclusions in the near future, and that there are some people in the community that could use some assistance in the face of rising taxes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mike, well said. So clearly there's no vote needed for this evening.
No,
Right,
there
this
is,
is
there
just-
is no vote. I just wanted to get a general consensus of whether this is something that the select board is interested in, or if in that I can go ahead and post these positions as open to reestablish for the August 19th meeting.
Mike, as you indicated, this was a goal of ours, and this is something that I think there's a need in the community for. So I would fully support this. Let's get a sentiment from the rest of the board. Selectwoman Rouse.
Absolutely support this.
Yeah,
Quick
Jim?
question,
Sorry.
through you to Mike. I'm sorry, how many on the committee? How many open positions?
So there are 3 ex officio type positions, and then 3 kind of residents at large. So the ex officio positions are the chair of the Board of Assessors, the town treasurer, and the council on aging director or their designee. And then there would be 3 residents at large, all of which are technically appointed by the select board, for, even the ex officio positions.
Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification.
Selectman Anderson.
Yeah, I think it's a great program, all for it.
Great. Selectman Harrington.
Totally agree. Great program. I'm all for it.
Selectman Lamoth.
All for it. Just a question for Michael. I see on the application, it references the age is 60, and then the subsequent document references age 65 for being available for this assistance. Is
Yeah.
that a typo, or is that what's?
So that was the documentation that was used previously by the last committee. So that's what we had on file. I wanted to provide a preview for the board of what was used previously. It will be the charge of the new committee to revise and review all the documents and update them. They might be looking at the income limitations. Things have obviously changed in the past 8 years since they actually made an award in 2016. So at least they would have a new committee, a basis of documents to work off of and start in terms of eligibility applications.
All right, so that's not the final. Okay, sounds fine.
And just to be clear, it would be up to this committee to determine the age ramifications, right, Mike?
Yeah. So the Mass General Law and through it the bylaw allow discretion of the committee to come up with guidelines for the program and eligibility requirements.
Right. So it wouldn't be our decision; it would be the committee's decision. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay. Yeah, I think the board has spoken. Everyone agrees. Let's move forward, Mike.
Yeah,
Okay.
great idea.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question?
Of course.
Well, in our last general meeting with the town, there was our police chief was he took one of his requests off the table. Would this group potentially consider another addition as disabled or other types of challenged families in the town? I mean, that may put officers, that have fallen into a category that we might be able to cover.
That's an interesting proposal. I'd have to review it. I believe Mass General Law says that it is to defray the costs of elderly and disabled persons of low income.
Okay.
So but again, that is
It's-
what the
yeah.
the exact definition is not in the law of what that low income is.
Yeah. I hear you.
So the committee would be charged on reviewing all that type of information, correct, Mike?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
All right. There you go, Mike. Let's move forward, and let's move forward to tab number 9, which is the 2095 West Street Purchase and Sale Agreement. So this is just a motion to approve and sign the 2095 West Street Purchase and Sale Agreement that the townspeople voted that we are, exercising our right of first refusal to purchase this land. We've now drafted the purchase and sale agreement. It's been reviewed by our attorney, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. Town council has blessed it, signed off on it, and now the document is ready for our signature. Anything else to add?
No,
Mike?
that is correct. It was drafted by town council in consultation with the seller's attorney. The next step is for the board to approve a PNS. And at that point, finance can begin the process of initiating a debt issuance, because although we have some funds on hand, a borrowing is going to be required, and this will kickstart that process.
And Mike, I have 2 quick questions. The first one being per one of our last votes, would this be a real wet signature, or would this be electronic signatures?
Electronic signature is eligible for this kind of document.
Beautiful. Second question is, as I was perusing the PNS, I just noticed a couple of letters were highlighted, like letter G. I'm assuming that might have been an edit from the town council or something. There was another one highlighted, number 10. So I didn't know if that was a reason for that, or it was just
So this went through probably a dozen drafts, and one of the processes, when it got locked for editing, the highlights got stuck. But when the final document gets executed, those will be removed.
all right. I was just curious. So it's not a question for us. It's just that
Yeah,
was just
that is correct. It is not
Okay.
something to bring your additional attention to, specifically flagged.
Okay, great. Anyone have any questions or comments before we make a motion to sign this?
So through you, Mr. Chair, Mike, the bond is gonna come through the CPC, correct?
That is correct.
And do we know roughly what the bond payment is gonna be and the length of, I think, was it 20
10 years was
10 year, 250 or 260 or something?
I believe it was lower than that. You get to that number when you include the Rice complex, the D'Amico playground.
Okay, yeah, correct. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments or questions before we?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
So at town meeting, there are various outside sources that were willing to contribute to this project.
That's
Do we have any update on where we stand with those?
Yes. So we are in contact with both the Pawtucket Water Supply Board and DCR in regards to a conservation restriction. The unique part of this is there can only be one conservation restriction, but we need to make sure that it's agreeable to all parties. So not just the town, but the Department of Conservation and Recreation for the state, as well as the Pawtucket Water Supply Board. So that is in place. Additionally, the Pawtucket Water Supply Board, as part of their financial assistance, is requiring a right of first refusal from the town to be drafted. I will add that in order to grant those, the town first needs to take possession of the property. But what we are looking to do is have those conversations simultaneously now and working on those legal documents and understanding and have those reviewed so we can move expeditiously and get those funds to the town as previously indicated by both DCR and the Pawtucket Water Supply Board.
Okay, thank you.
But to Jim's question, as of right now, it looks like both of them are going to come through with those funding sources.
We have no indication that any of them are pulling back in any way.
Okay. And do we have firm commitments, or what does that look like? Like
So
nothing in writing?
Yeah, the commitments are the same that we had in town meeting.
Okay.
You know, until we have a legal recorded conservation restriction and a right of first refusal. You know, that's what triggers the money to come in terms of from both DCR and Pawtucket Water Supply Board.
Understood. All right.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the right of first refusal to Pawtucket Water is if hypothetically someday the conservation restriction was removed, then they would have the right to build a water tower or water storage tank on it, as opposed to us.
So the conservation restriction does not allow for a public water supply.
Right.
That was pretty clear. Okay. And so that the right of first refusal would be if the town were to sell the property, which could be with a conservation restriction on it still. Because as we talked about, and I believe town council even mentioned at town meeting, you know, it's an act of the legislature to really get that piece out of that conservation restriction. So in terms of the Pawtucket Water Supply Board, yes, if the town was to sell it for any reason in the future, they would get right of first refusal, just as in the case of the town getting right of first refusal for this property with the Cooks going to sell it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Being none, Chair will entertain a motion. Did I hear someone want to say something? I'm sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I was just wondering if at closing, we have to fund the entire purchase and then subsequently get these
Yes.
money. Yes, okay.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yep. Okay. At this time, Chair will entertain a motion to sign a 2095 West Street purchase and sale agreement.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made by Selectman Harrington, second by Selectwoman Rouse. Any further discussion?
Selectman Anderson made the motion.
Oh, didn't I say that? I thought I said Selectman Anderson and second by Selectwoman Rouse.
Correct.
Oh, I thought that's what I said. I'm sorry. Is that what I said? Am I losing my mind?
You all
No, you
lose.
said Selectman Harrington.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
Nope, no worries.
Motion made by Selectman Anderson and second by Selectwoman Rouse. Any further discussion? Being none, do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Lamoth,
Lamoth, yes.
Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, let's move to tab number 10. Okay, so per Mike King's contract, our board is to give him a review every year. The board tasked Michelle and I to work with the board members to develop a set of criteria. We agreed on that criteria. We sent it out to all the board members. Each of the board members had an opportunity to evaluate Mike on all those characteristics that were in the review. Each member did in fact do that. We had a tabulation score with the perfect score being 5, and then Mike's score subsequently coming in relating to all how Mike did and fared in those specific categories. So I'd like to just read something that I prepared with the help of Amanda, and then we can open it up for any discussion as needed. Mr. King joined the town of Wrentham as the finance director, treasurer, collector in June of 2021. He was originally hired by his predecessor, Kevin Sweet. Mr. King was appointed to the town manager in March of 2025 after serving as the interim town manager for 3 months. Mike's qualifications, along with his impressive education, made him the perfect candidate to take Wrentham into our next phase of future. To create Mr. King's evaluation, the Wrentham Select Board completed comprehensive performance evaluations. Myself and Vice Chair Rouse reviewed the individual submittals with Mr. King. The evaluation focused on 10 key categories related to the day-to-day duties of the town manager. These categories included individual characteristic, professional skills and status, relationships with elected members of the governing body, policy execution, reporting, citizen relation, staffing, supervision, fiscal management, and community management overall. Mr. King ranked highly in all of the areas, scoring an impressive 4.856 out of a perfect 5. Mike's strongest grades were in individual characteristics, community relations, and fiscal management, with the remaining categories close behind. Mike's highlights are on his work ethic, his intelligence, his ability to lead and empower subordinates, and also his ability to be ready, especially at town meeting, to field a variety of questions, particularly the budget. He was also commented on his and favorably commented on his ability to seamlessly step into this role and his involvement in the board's objectives and goals. In addition, another strength shared by many of the board members was his engagement with the community, our board, and all the other boards and committees in town. Tabulating the scores again from Jim, Roy, Bill, Michelle, and myself, Mike averaged an impressive score of 4.856, which translates to a performance evaluation of above average. We congratulate Mike on his outstanding performance and thank him for his dedication to the town. And I just personally want to add to this. It's been a pleasure having Mike King as our town manager. I've gotten to work very closely with Mike. We speak very frequently, email daily, and have a standing weekly Tuesday call discussing agenda items and other topics that come up with Vice Chair Rouse. I'm just constantly impressed, Mike, with your ability to think on your feet, your ability to just understand all aspects of what it takes to run this town. You know, the fact that your understanding of the budget, your finance backgrounds is just hugely impressive. And I just can't stress enough that although I think you're lucky to have us, we're very lucky to have you. So with that being said, I just want to congratulate you on a job well done. Looking forward to many more years of this partnership. And at this time, I'm going to open up to my fellow select board members for any comment, starting with Selectwoman Rouse.
I think, Chris, that you summarized that beautifully. There was the sentiments that were reflected in all of the reviews about your quick ability to establish yourself as the leader of our town. And we are very lucky to have not only your ability to connect with others, your calm demeanor, but your great knowledge, financial, government, and policy, which are just exceptional. I feel very fortunate to be working with you, learning from you, and being a part of this journey with you. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Selectman Rouse. Selectman Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So first of all, Mike, congrats. You've done a good job since you've been appointed. Just say keep up with the good work, and thank you for putting up with this Board of Selectmen.
Well said. Selectman Harrington.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, Mike, it's a pleasure working with you. I think I couldn't possibly agree more with Michelle and Chris on the comments, and I'm proud to be part of the board that works with you, and proud of the fact that you were the person that ended up with the job as a result of us picking you.
All right, thank you. And Selectman Lamothe.
Mike, congratulations. It's another opportunity where all of us are aligned, as you can see by the score. Being the rookie on the team, I've had the least potential to offer, but I would like to set some time aside at least once a month to be able to, again, learn from you. What little time we've had was great, but I have so much more that I need to understand and learn about the town. I think having some one-on-one time with you would be of great service to me. So if that's okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to set that up.
Bill, please feel free. That sounds great. I think it'd be well worth it. I think Mike would do a great job, kind of pulling the veil back, as you dive in, Roy, and really understand, town government. And I think, as always, Mike would be very keen to learn from you, Roy, as you clearly, very successful in your professional endeavors. I think we can all learn from each other. And Mike has just shown me he's a sponge. We talk all the time, and he's very appreciative. Every once in a while, even I can teach him something, and he's very happy about that. So I think it's a wonderful situation. It's great to have an active board. It's great to have a great working relationship with the town manager. So I would support that. And I think Mike would too. So Mike, anything to say before we move on?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So I'm more than willing to make myself available to sit down with any board member at any time and continue to build our relationship. I just want to thank the board for taking the time to fill out the evaluations. I do appreciate that. And I appreciate the time we've had together thus far. And I look forward to building on our successes moving forward. So thank you all.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Let's move on. Let's get some more work done then. All right. This is something we talked about before. The board showed an interest in taking a look at this. Remember, one of our local businesses who we all love and support, White Bond Farm, they are thinking they're going to hold. So let me back up. This is regarding the vote to amend the special one-day license policy. So you'll all remember the present policy is 12 licenses per year per establishment. White Barn was kind of running up against that 12. We asked them how many more they think they need, considering they do an Oktoberfest and a couple other events. They mentioned that they might need 3, which brings them to 15. The board had preliminary conversations about just making the number 16 as we're the policymakers regarding, these one-day licenses. The board was pretty favorable about that 16. So I think the way we left it was Mike and Amanda were gonna make sure that they didn't see any issue with that. I think they checked to make sure that there was no issue from a statutory perspective, and the board can go ahead and do that if that's the will of the board, which I strongly support. So the motion tonight would be to approve the special one-day policy by amending the number of licenses available from 12 to 16. And in our packet, there was just the verbiage of how the one-day alcohol license reads. So I'd like to see if anyone has any comments on this before we bring it to a vote.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm not opposed to this, but they still have to come before the board to get that license, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But instead of giving them 12, we're extending them that they can have up to 16.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as long as they still have to come before the board.
Yep, they do, Jimmy.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments or questions before we move on? No? Okay. This time, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the special one-day license policy by amending the number of licenses available from 12 to 16.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion made by Selectman Harrington, seconded by Selectwoman Rouse. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse,
Yes.
Selectman Anderson, Selectman Harrington,
Harrington, yes.
Selectman Lamothe,
Lamar, yes.
Gallo, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. That was old business number 1. Old business number 2. Okay. So since we issued the statement on the MBTA communities, we have not formally met. So we thought it'd be prudent for Bill Harrington, our clerk, to read our official statement into the record, and then for Mike King to give us an update with regard to where does Wrentham stand with the AG, with the state. We understand that, the intent from Attorney Tallerman was to be in constant communication with the AG to make sure that Wrentham would be given, we asked for until the next scheduled town meeting to prepare the warrant articles to get the word out to the community. Why, we now think it's prudent for the taxpayer voters to support this zoning ordinance that they overwhelmingly rejected when this came to a vote at the last meeting. So, Bill, let's at least start with you, if you don't mind reading this into the record.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So the agenda item is the update on the MBTA communities. The following is a statement from the Wrentham Select Board and the Town Manager, Mike King. After careful consideration, the Wrentham Select Board has decided not to appeal the recent decision issued by the Superior Court in the case of Town of Wrentham versus Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities et al. The Select Board initiated the case to affirm the state auditor's finding that the MBTA community zoning law constituted an unfunded mandate imposing substantial requirements on municipalities without corresponding financial support. Based on that determination, the town sought judicial relief from compliance until the economic impacts of the law could be assessed and addressed. While Wrentham presented thorough arguments to the court, the presiding judge ultimately ruled that the auditor erroneously determined that the unfunded mandate existed and found that the only mandatory obligation was to establish a zoning bylaw. Although the Select Board is dissatisfied with the outcome, it respects the court's decision. Throughout this process, the Select Board has remained committed to advocating for Wrentham's fiscal and planning interests. The Select Board honored its obligation to the town to seek financial impact information from the Commonwealth on sweeping state mandated changes to the town zoning bylaw. Having pursued the case to a logical conclusion, the Select Board considered all various options, including appeal, and has determined that the most prudent and cost-effective option is to move forward without while working proactively to manage future growth in any way that reflects the community value and priorities. This decision also ensures that Wrentham remains eligible for key state funding opportunities that support infrastructure, public safety, education, and other services critical to the residents' quality of life. The Select Board remains dedicated to protecting the interests of Wrentham residents and will continue to engage with state partners to advocate for balanced, sustainable growth that benefits the entire community.
Thank you, Selectman Harrington. So
Thank you,
yeah,
Chair.
no problem. Thank you. So obviously, to summarize, we're not happy with the outcome. Neither are the residents, but we feel like it's in the best interest of the taxpayers at this time, to bring forth zoning articles at our next town meeting. Now, the next question, or not the next question, but I've heard people ask me, well, why aren't we racing to have an emergency or special town meeting? And Attorney Tollerman has advised us, and I agree with him, that rushing to have a special town meeting actually could be prohibitive. That it was this zoning ordinance was overwhelmingly voted down by the townspeople, and without giving us plenty of time to educate the townspeople on what has changed, why we are changing tune and now supporting this zoning ordinance, I think we're in danger of a repeat of a similar outcome of the last vote if we're not careful and if we rush quickly. So with that being said, we've advised Attorney Tollerman to work as closely as possible with the state, with the Attorney General, to make sure that Wrentham is not penalized and is still considered in some kind of conditional compliance, because we are working towards bringing this to a vote at our next town meeting. Mike, do you want to jump in? Did I miss anything? Do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to add that since the Select Board's announcement last month that the town will not be appealing the Superior Court's decision, we have begun to lay the groundwork for a fall town meeting vote on MBTA Communities Act compliant zoning. This is to include conversing with the Attorney General's office and the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities regarding enforcement and communicating a proposed adoption timeline to them. That, as you indicated, there will need to be significant public outreach on the zoning article between now and the fall town meeting. Attorney Tallerman has been in contact with the AG's office, and we are anticipating a meeting with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities later this week to make sure they understand our process moving forward and the reasoning behind a fall town meeting rather than a snap July meeting with the July 14th deadline.
And Mike, just to add on top of that, Attorney Tallerman has advised us, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he does not see a high risk in any of the things that people were nervous about, like the state cutting us off for grants immediately or appointing a special master or any of that. My understanding and communication with Attorney Tallerman is those processes would take time to play out. We would have plenty of notice and ability to react and pivot as needed. So we do not want the residents thinking that, we're going to get an email tomorrow or a call from the state saying you're cut off from MSBA grants, you're cut off from this grant, and we're appointing a special master. I would like you to, if you can, speak to that if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, so part of that exactly is communicating with the state and the Attorney General's office that it's in the best interest of a fall town meeting, right? Because you had already indicated that if you said July 14th is a hard and fast date, right? And then July 15th is all right, enforcement, everything gets the book gets thrown at you. That really doesn't meet the state's goals of a compliant zoning adoption. So, part of my role in Attorney Tallerman is to make sure that the state understands that, and that there is a process, there is a plan, and public education is a huge part of that plan. It's integral to it, quite frankly, moving forward. And enforcing the town into a situation where the Select Board needs to call a special town meeting in a short order is not going to lead to a successful vote on this article zoning.
And I will also thank you, Mike. And I will also say that we as a board, Mike as the town manager, myself, are in constant contact with our colleagues in the planning board Chairman Tom Maloney, I see is on our meeting. Tom and I have been in constant communication. They are working forward, and they have, they will have an article ready for whenever the town meeting is. So kudos to them in working so closely with us, and making sure that we're ready to go. So with that being said, does any of the board members have any questions for myself or Mr. King regarding MBTA communities? No?
No further questions. I think that how we're moving forward is how we started this process from the beginning. We weren't quick to adopt and zone like many other towns did, which led to quick building. We took our time, we educated ourselves, we made sure we went down a path to protect Wrentham and its residents. And I think that us moving forward in this direction, working with the state, remaining in compliance, and doing a town meeting when it works for us to educate our residents is the right way to go.
Well said. Any further discussion on this topic before we move on to public comment? Being none, we're going to move to tab 13 at this point, which is public comment. Residents who wish to participate in public comment will be allotted 2 minutes to speak and must state their name and address for the record. At the start of the comment, a timer will be sent via messenger from Amanda Vazzapolo. It should be visible on the top of the screen, and an alarm will chime when the time is up. So we have resident Leo Immonen has raised his hand. Mr. Immonen, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Leo Immonen. I live at 12 Virgil Pond Way. And I have a suggestion for the select board to improve your June appointment process. When you make appointments in June to a vacant position, my recommendation is that you fill them with an immediate effective date. I suggest you not delay those appointments until July 1st, as you would for any other position which was still filled until June 30th. I learned of the need for this suggestion at the June meeting of the Community Preservation Committee. We were making a policy decision, which could be viewed in many ways. We had an extended discussion. When it came time to vote, we realized that the newly appointed members could not vote since their terms did not begin until July 1st. I felt sorrow for these newly appointed members who had just fully participated in the discussion, but were not able to vote due to a technicality. Their effective date had not been the night of their appointment, but July 1st. So please consider this when you make any future June appointments for a position which is vacant at the time you're making the appointment. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Immonen, thank you so much for your comment. I got to be careful because this wasn't an agenda item, but you did address the board. So Mike, I believe I can make a quick comment back to Mr. Immonen regarding the policy, or can I not?
So it's not so much a discussion on policy, but we can just clarify that the appointments were indeed effective immediately, and it was a misunderstanding.
So Mr. Immonen, if you go back to our meeting and you pull our minutes and you see the motions, you will clearly see, sir, that those appointments were effective immediately. So although I appreciate your suggestion, it's one that we already have been enacting. It was a miscommunication from someone else, not this board.
Yeah, unfortunately, all three newly appointed members were not aware of that. That hurt them. So I thank you for that response.
And I'll tell you, we are also taking steps to correct that issue from that last meeting. And I'll let Mike King, we can address it at the next meeting, or I'll let Mike King send you a follow-up email and CC me to that so you can understand the steps that we're taking to rectify that. But again, go look at the motion. Term effective immediately. Per this board voted on by all 5 members, not effective July 1st. So I'm sorry for the confusion. Didn't lie with us, unfortunately. Thank you. Any other residents would like to speak at this time? Give you another couple seconds. Appreciate all the residents, appreciate everyone, appreciate the board. Okay, at this time, Mike, I think we're done with the public comment. We're going to move into the town manager's report, tab 14.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So update on Sweat Park, as we talked about at the beginning of the meeting during the announcements, the renovation project has reached the point of substantial completion with the staircase, railings, and sport court netting installations now finished. A final walkthrough is being scheduled, and the DPW will be working on a few punch list items to get the park ready for its grand opening on Thursday, July 24th at 5 p.m. This will be a community-oriented ribbon cutting event with more details to follow. Update on the town common electrical upgrades. Most of the electrical work on the town common that began last month is complete, with the new panel principally left to be installed. It is anticipated that the project will be finished in the next 2 weeks, which will be well before Wrentham Day in September. I have an update on the Wrentham Community Electricity Program. The program is going live tomorrow for those that have not opted out. Approximately 6% of accounts have chosen to opt out, which is within the expected range. However, I will note that National Grid has proposed to increase their current basic service rate to 15.484 cents per kilowatt hour effective in August, which means that residents in the Wrentham Community Electricity Program are now projected to realize additional savings with their rate locked in at the lower 13.67 cents per kilowatt hour. And I will remind residents who have chosen to opt out that they can still choose to opt in at any time if they wish to do so. And my last update is on the MEC and SEMREC merger. I've been notified that a state development grant that was being pursued to facilitate the merger between the Metacom and Emergency Communication Center and the Southeastern Massachusetts Regional Emergency Communication Center was not awarded by State 911 for FY26. The state is now planning to initiate a study next month that will further assess funding combined regional dispatch centers in advance in the next round of the State 911 development grant funding for FY27. The proposed merger of the MEC and the SEMREC would actually be the first merger of two existing regional dispatch centers in Massachusetts. And state funding support and their commitment will be instrumental in completing and accomplishing a merger. So just wanted to provide that quick update as well, and I can answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. King. Appreciate the updates. I have none. I'll open it up to the other board members, see if they have any questions. Selectwoman Rouse,
No questions at this time.
Selectman Anderson,
Yeah, I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Selectman Harrington,
No questions at this time.
Selectman Lamoth,
I'll address it in my next one-on-one with Mike.
oh, excuse us. And just remember, Roy.
Yes, sir.
I'll save that for another conversation. Have fun with your one-on-one. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to Jimmy Anderson before I get myself into trouble. Selectman Anderson, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I'd like to make the motion for after this lengthy meeting, the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Selectman Anderson, second by Selectwoman Rouse. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectwoman Rouse.
Yes.
Yes.
Selectman Anderson.
Yes.
Selectman Harrington.
Harrington, yes.
Selectman Lamoth.
Lamoth, yes.
Gallo, yes. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. I got my own one-on-one I got to deal with right
Yeah.
now.
Hey, good luck on that.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.